Welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Neeru Tandon, Department of English, VSST College, Kanpur. We are discussing paper on linguistics, and in it the module number 19 titled Tree Diagrams has been written by Mr. Kirti Azad, an independent scholar, University of Hyderabad. In this particular module, you will come to know what is the importance of tree diagram, how to make tree diagrams, and what they denote in the field of linguistics. There are two ways of representing sentence structure. One is labeled bracketing and the second is tree diagrams. We are here dealing with tree diagrams. Now, before that, also understand what is labeled bracketing. The entire phrase or a sentence is put in square brackets. The constituents are also enclosed in square brackets. Let us do labeled bracketing for the following phrases like birds fly, John ate a mango. Now you see in this labeled bracketing with an example, you see within these square brackets we have put birds and fly. This birds is the noun phrase and fly is the verb. So the label at the leftmost bottom corner of the bracket gives the information about the grammatical category of the constituent. The first open square bracket comes with the label S and encloses the whole sentence to indicate that birds fly is a sentence. This S indicates the sentence. Now, the second open bracket with the label NP indicates that birds is a noun phrase, and the third open bracket with the label VP indicates that fly is a verb phrase. Every bracket that is opened has to be closed as well. So in this we see that 3 open brackets equal 3 closed brackets are there. Now you can try labeling brackets for this particular sentence as well. John ate a mango. Now I will show you how to bracket it. You can check whether you have done it correctly or not. See, this first bracket opens and you see S indicates the sentence. NP, John is the noun phrase. VP, we ate, then NP, and we have finally mango, and all the brackets are closed. So you can check, are all the constituents enclosed in brackets? Do all the opened brackets have labels? Are all the opened brackets closed as well? If you have done this, then you have done it correctly. Now see the tree diagram. That was one way of expression, and this is the another way of expressing and explaining. Now this at the top you have written S, that shows the sentence. There are two legs NP and VP, they are called nodes over here. So the lines that move from sentence to noun phrase and verb phrase are called branches. There is a linear relationship and also a hierarchical relationship between the nodes and other constituents of the structure. Birds over here is noun phrase and fly again is the verb phrase. NP and VP are sister nodes and they share a linear relationship between them like that of sisterhood. They occur at the same level and show syngmatic relationship. S is the mother node and NP and VP are the daughter nodes as they share a hierarchical relationship between them. S dominates the NP and VP. It is at a higher level than NP and VP. Noun phrase and verb phrase are the immediate constituents of S sentence. Triangle indicates that the analysis is incomplete and this tree can be analyzed further into other constituents of the noun phrase and the verb phrase. Wherever the analysis is complete, we see branches and not triangles. Phrases are of different kinds. Noun phrase, verb phrase, prepositional phrase, adjective phrase, adverb phrase. They are represented as NP, VP, AD, JP, AD, VP, AD, JVP. Each phrase gets its name from the head, most important and obligatory constituents in the phrase. Now, there are various constituents of phrases. Noun is the head in a noun phrase, verb is the head in the verb phrase, preposition is the head in the prepositional phrase, adjective is the head in the adjective phrase, and adverb is the head in the adverbial phrase. Now noun phrase. Noun phrase may have just one constituent, the head of the noun phrase, which is also the only obligatory constituent in the noun phrase that can come in the straight line. NP, then coming noun, and that is birds. Here the immediate constituent of the NP is the N, which is the head, and the immediate constituent of N is the noun, that is birds. NP here has the determiner and the noun head as its immediate constituents. The immediate constituents of the determiner here is an article, and the immediate constituent of the noun is the noun birds. See the diagram. In the following diagram, NP, the determiner is a possessive, my, and the sister, for the determiner is a noun. Note that there can be only one determiner in the structure of a noun phrase. It is possible for a noun phrase to have another noun phrase in its structure, but never more than one determiner in the same noun phrase. Noun phrase with the determiner as a genitive possessive, my brothers. It is a model tree diagram for a noun phrase. You see there we have predeterminer, determiner, ordinal, quent, adjective phrase, noun, then prepositional phrase and S. So obligatory constituent is N and all the others are optional constituents. Those preceding the head are the pre-modifiers. Those that follow the head are called post-modifiers. Pre-modifiers and post-modifiers add to the meaning of the head. In the noun phrase, in English, the categories of words that occur as pre-modifiers and post-modifiers are given in the above tree diagram. The order in which these occur is also fixed and is represented in this particular tree diagram. Now, verb phrase is an immediate constituent of the sentence along with the noun phrase. The verb phrase can have the verb and the other constituents such as a noun phrase, prepositional phrase, adjective phrase or adverb phrase. The verb phrase has two obligatory constituents, auxiliary and the verb. The auxiliary has tense as its obligatory constituents. This is the model tree diagram for a verb phrase. The auxiliary has tense as its obligatory constituents. There may be other optional constituents such as modal, perfective aspect, progressive aspect, passive as shown below in the model tree diagram of a verb phrase. This is again the example of a phrase tree, play with the toy, that is a verb phrase, and how play is the verb and this with is the prepositional phrase. Then we have determiner, the and noun toy. Prepositional phrase has two obligatory constituents, preposition as its head and a complement. In this prepositional phrase, the head is a preposition in and the complement is an NP, the garden. In this prepositional phrase, the head is a preposition from and the complement is a prepositional phrase behind the curtain. Now see all these four diagrams, they are the adjective phrases. As the same name suggests, adjective is the obligatory head of all the adjective phrases. Adjective phrase can have a degree pre-modifier, very, like in the diagram figure number 2. Adjective phrase can have a prepositional phrase of films as it is complement like in figure number 3. It can also have an adverbial phrase in its specifier position as in the figure number 4. Now adverb phrase. Adverb phrase has one obligatory head. The adverb itself, luckily in figure 1, it can have a degree pre-modifier, figure number 2, very loudly. Now it is also important to understand clausal constituents. Single clause sentences. Sentence may have just one clause or more than one clause. When a sentence has just one clause in it, it will have the noun phrase and the verb phrase as its immediate constituents. The sentence I love syntax has as the noun phrase and love syntax as the verb phrase. All the phrases in the noun phrase and verb phrases are fully analyzed in this particular tree diagram. Multiple clause sentences. We have clausal constituents in the noun phrase. The clausal constituent is who is standing there. It is a post modifier which adds to the meaning of the noun head and man. The clause is represented as another S within the noun phrase. Multiple clause sentences, clausal constituents in the verb phrase. This sentence has as the noun phrase and said that he will come tomorrow as the verb phrase with the relative clause that he will come tomorrow as a clausal constituent in the verb phrase. The clausal constituent is analyzed in the tree diagram as the S since it has the complementizer that and S with the clause he will come tomorrow as its constituent. Binary trees. You must have heard this term binary trees. Now understand also what do we mean by binary trees and how important they are, especially for tree diagrams. In the generative tradition of linguistics started by Noam Chomsky, all branching is binary. We will learn X bar schema in a later chapter and see that there is a specifier and a complement for any head and the branching is always binary. With binary trees, we can easily represent both left branching and right branching languages. In the example given below, we can see the structure of a binary tree. A has got B and C, C has got D and E has got F and G. So these are the binaries. The phrase structure are used to break down a natural language sentence into its constituent parts, also known as syntactic categories, including both lexical categories, that is part of speech, and phrasal categories. For example, an S, that is sentence, consists of an NP noun phrase followed by a VP verb phrase. S leads to noun phrase and verb phrase. The main phrase structure rules. S leads to NP-VP, NP determiner AP, NPP, then verb phrase to auxiliary and V to NP, then phrasal phrase, prepositional phrase is just DG, then phrase NP. Now we have seen that tree diagrams are essential tools for linguists working in the area of syntax. Tree diagrams capture the sentence structure and help us understand the relationship amongst the constituents of the phrase. All phrases are characterized by an obligatory head and derive their name from this particular head. While working out the tree representation, one could work it down to the level of words or to the level of an unspecified complement, in which case it can be left as a triangle. In the generative framework, branching of nodes is always binary. The phrase structure rules provide an essential structure of all the sentences in a language by spelling out the specifier and the complements for each phrasal head. Now you have seen that we have learned in this particular module what is tree diagram, why to make tree diagram, how to make tree diagram, and what are the various components of tree diagram. When we are leaving it incomplete, then how are we denoting it? When it is complete, then it will be represented in which way. All these things we have learnt in detail, and hopefully whenever you will deal with linguistics or the ELT section, and you will be able to make your own tree diagrams very easily. Now there is a video for you which will give you a clear understanding, and you can practice with this particular video in practical terms how to draw a tree diagram for your studies as well.
Today we're going to look at the basic way to tree diagram a sentence. It's called a tree diagram because it looks like an inverted tree and the connecting lines look like branches coming from the main node. There are three basic parts to a sentence: the subject, verb, and the object. We will look at these basic forms today. The two basic main parts of the tree diagram are the noun phrase and the verb phrase. In the basic noun phrase, there is a definite article, like the, or an indefinite article, like a or an. These can also be demonstrative and possessive pronouns, like my, your, ours. There can be an adjective that modifies the noun, and the central noun is also located in the noun phrase. A noun phrase example would be the red ball. The second basic part of the sentence is the verb phrase, which consists of a verb and possibly an adverb which modifies the verb. This is also where the direct object is located, because as we remember, the direct object receives the action of the verb. So let's try some tree diagrams for some practice. Here's our first sentence. The dog sat. If we wanted to diagram this sentence, we would start like this. At the top of our tree is our node for sentence. And we have the two parts. We have the noun phrase and we have the verb phrase. In the noun phrase, we have our definite article, the, and we have our central noun, dog. In our verb phrase, we only have the verb, sat. So, the dog sat. Okay? Pretty simple. Let's move on to another sentence. This example, we have the big cat jumped. So, let's diagram. We have our sentence. We have both parts. We have a noun phrase and we have our verb phrase. Now, in our noun phrase, we have the definite article, and this time we have an adjective and the central noun. So we have the big cat, and we still only have just the verb in the verb phrase. The big cat jumped. In our third sentence, we have a girl ran quickly. So we have our sentence with our two parts, with our noun phrase and our verb phrase. We have our basic noun phrase again, this time with an indefinite article and our central noun. And in the verb phrase, this time we have the verb and an adverb because the girl ran quickly. All right, let's try one more. In this sentence, we have the teacher gave a quiz. So we have all three basic parts of a sentence. We have our noun phrase and our verb phrase. In the noun phrase, we have our definite article and our central noun. Our verb phrase, we have our verb. And also in the verb phrase, we have another noun phrase because we have our direct object with an indefinite article and the central noun. So the teacher gave a quiz. And there's your basic lesson on how to diagram a basic tree diagram.
Thank you for visiting EPG Pathshala.